Hello and welcome to our latest episode talking all things Arsenal. I'm Barney Corkill, the editor of Sportsmole. Delighted to say, as always, I'm joined by Arsenal expert Charles Watts. Charles, how are you after that weekend?
Yeah, very good, Barney. Not too bad. How are you?
Yeah, I'm very well, thanks. A lot has happened since we last spoke. I know it was only a few days ago, but before we get on to the transfer window and the transfer activity or lack thereof, we have to start with that game against Man City. I mean, you predicted a ball draw when we spoke beforehand, a 1-1 draw, maybe a 0-0 draw even. But the way it transpired, I mean, that was almost perfect for Arsenal, wasn't it? First and foremost, how much did you enjoy that game?
Yeah, I enjoyed it an awful lot. Also, never listened to a word I say. Clearly, I have no idea what I'm talking about. It was a remarkable afternoon. It really was. The Emirates was absolutely bouncing. That's the final half hour. From the moment Thomas Partey's shot deflected and went in to make it 2-1, I don't think you can really, from an Arsenal fan point of view, you can get a better 35 minutes than what transpired after that. You know, they absolutely put City to the sword. They made City look old. They made them look slow. They made them look lethargic. They just made them look poor, to be honest. You know, Arsenal was so good. They went for the kill. And, you know, a big criticism of Arsenal at times is that they don't kill off teams enough, you know, but you know, they did that and more on Sunday. It was a real statement win. You know, I can't remember a sort of statement win like that for a long time from Arsenal, to score that amount of goals, to win so convincingly in a really big game. There's been some brilliant moments, great moments over the last few years, certainly the Arteta era. But in terms of a real statement standout win, you know, it just doesn't really get better than smashing Man City for 5. It was a remarkable afternoon.
Yeah, and I don't want to sort of inflate the result too much, because at the end of the season it might not be that relevant, but it did feel like that sort of game where you've got that incredible result against the team that you've been battling against for the title these last 2 seasons most closely, a team that you've had such trouble with in the past and that traditionally in recent years at least have, you know, pretty much won every game until the last season or so against Arsenal. This really felt like maybe not quite coming of age, maybe that's not the right term, but a huge result. I mean, as I say, I don't want to inflate it too much, but how is it the best of the Arteta era? Are we going back maybe to the glory days under Wenger for a better result than that?
I think it has to be the best result of the Arteta era. I can't. I mean, you just don't beat Manchester City 5-1. It just doesn't happen. Not this Manchester City team. So I think it has to be considered the best result. Probably not the most important result, because ultimately I don't think it's really going to mean much, because you know, Liverpool's Liverpool are away into the sunset, really. So I just can't see that gap closing enough for it to become, you know, a really meaningful result. But you know, just on its own, it just showed everything that this Arsenal team is about, really, and it all came together. And the fact that, you know, they did it without Saka as well, which I think will be a real confidence boost for them over the next 3 or 4 months, that they know even without their main attacker, their real killer attacker, they can still go and put in a performance like this and score goals like that. So I do think it was probably the biggest result of the Arteta era. I can't think of anything other in terms of statement, in terms of performance, in terms of the kind of message it sends out. It does feel a little bit of a shame, though, that from an Arsenal point of view, it doesn't look like it's going to mean much in terms of the title, because you'd love that, certainly if you're an Arsenal fan anyway, to really be the sort of catalyst for what's to come over the next 3.5 months. But, you know, just the day before Liverpool going to Bournemouth, winning the way they did, you know, they've gone to Brentford recently, found a way to win there. They found a way to win at Bournemouth. These are results, these are fixtures that Arsenal fans have been looking at for a while, thinking, oh, you know, could they slip up there? But they're just not. You know, they're just winning. Mo Salah's staying fit. He's doing what he's doing every single week. And so ultimately, I don't think it's going to be a real meaningful result in terms of a title race. But as a standout result, you know, it's a huge moment for Arsenal.
And I think it's as good a result that could really be a springboard to at least take Liverpool down to the wire, at least take them as far as you can do your part. Because, you know, even if you had gone and won that 1-0 or something, it wouldn't have felt like too much of a statement. You would have felt, speaking from a Liverpool point of view, you go and beat Bournemouth at the weekend, and you think maybe that's almost a title clinching win because it's a big result in one of your toughest away games left. To then go and see Arsenal do that to Man City the next day, that would certainly have ebbed away the confidence of a lot of Liverpool fans that this was a done deal, and that Arsenal, you know, haven't got the quality to maybe go on a run that they need to go and match Liverpool. This is the sort of result that suggests maybe they can do that. Obviously, that comes down to consistency rather than just a one-off thing like this. But I do think it's such a good result and such a big result that it could be the springboard to make more of a title race of it.
Yeah, it'll certainly make Liverpool think, no doubt about that. They'd have been watching that on Sunday, hoping that Arsenal are going to drop points, and for them to win so convincingly, it would have certainly made them think. And it's all Arsenal can do now, isn't it? It's just keep trying to put pressure on and hoping. There is still plenty of games left, so they got to just keep hoping Liverpool will slip up. And if they do, they've got to be in position to do that. And to be fair to Arsenal, they're on the best unbeaten run in the Premier League in Mikel Arteta's time at the club, and they're doing all this without Saka, with the injuries up front. They've still put together this longest unbeaten run in the Premier League since Arteta arrived at the club. So they are on a good run of form. The consistency is there at the moment. There's just been a couple of really costly draws, especially the Villa game, throwing away the 2-goal lead. Brighton leading for so long in that game and not seeing it out on New Year's Day as well. So there are a couple of costly draws on there, but they are doing their best to try and keep the pressure on Liverpool. It's just unfortunately for Arsenal, Liverpool keep winning themselves as well. And when Liverpool have slipped up, Arsenal have picked those weekends not to take advantage of those results. So there is a lot of time to go. You can't, and they won't surrender yet. They will do their best to hunt down Liverpool. But Liverpool's lead is just so big. I think the Merseyside derby is crucial coming up. If there's not many games left where you look at it and think, oh, Liverpool could slip up there. This one, they're going to Everton under the lights, final Merseyside derby ever at Goodison Park. Moyes has got a tune out of Everton since he's gone there. Everton have just won 4-0, I think, wasn't it, at the weekend? So they're going to be confident going into that game. Arsenal will be desperately hoping that Everton can do something there. And if they can, then, if they can win like they did last season, then suddenly the gap's 6 points with 14 games to go. Arsenal have still got to play Liverpool. Liverpool's still got to go to the Etihad. So, there is a chance, but it still does feel a little bit unlikely.
Yeah, and at the risk of getting too far ahead of myself, because everything could change in the meantime, but beating Man City that well will give a huge amount of belief that Arsenal can go to Anfield and get a result, surely.
Well, Arsenal haven't lost a game against one of the big six, if you want to still call them that, for 3 years. They're unbeaten against all of them, home and away. So they'll be absolutely back themselves to go to Anfield and win. They'll have full belief that they can do that. It's just if they can get within touching distance before that point. I mean, that'd be brilliant for the Premier League if they could. If there was something really on that Anfield game right at the end of the season, if Arsenal could, within 3 points of them going into that game, in the Premier League, you'd be licking their lips in terms of what that would do for worldwide audience figures. Wouldn't it be absolutely huge? And that's got to be the aim. It's absolutely got to be aim, is to stay in the hunt until that game when you have the opportunity head to head to take 3 points off Liverpool. It has to be the aim, and I'm sure it will be the aim.
Could be all up for grabs again. 1989 all over.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, in terms of the Man City result, then I'm going to give you a few. There's a lot to choose from, but what was the most pleasing element of it? Was it Lewis Skelly's goal and then subsequent celebration, which we'll talk about a bit more in a second? Was it Manieri's goal after 36 pass move, every outfield member of the team touching the ball? I think for me, maybe the most important part of it was Havertz's goal, because he looked so devoid of confidence, even in the first half, passing the ball to Odegaard for that opening goal. Probably the right move, but you wouldn't see a top striker do that. And then the miss in the first half as well, where he screwed it wide when he really should have scored. For him to bury his goal so confidently, I think will do wonders and might be the most important element of it for the rest of the season in terms of getting that confidence. But what do you think was the best moment of it? Because there's so many to choose from.
Honestly, I don't think there was a best moment. I think it was just the combination of everything that took place in that second half. From an Arsenal fan's point of view, it was just absolutely, it was brilliant. I wasn't in the press box, I was in the stands for this one, and I can't remember enjoying 35 minutes as much as I did then. Everything that went on, the pantomime villain stuff with Erling Haaland, it was just so funny. The Lewis Skelly goal, the noise when Lewis Skelly's goal went in, I think coming so soon after the second one, and just having that breathing space. The fact though it was Lewis Skelly as well just added to the absolute explosion of noise when that went in. It was a real proper moment, that Lewis Skelly goal. So that was lots of fun. Then seeing the celebration just sort of added to it as well. You're right about Havertz. I think that goal was really important. You could see in his celebration how much that meant to him. That would have been weighing on his mind, that missing the first half, especially when Erling Haaland equalised. Havertz must have been standing there thinking, "Oh God, it's going to happen again. I'm going to get absolutely hammered if we don't win this game." And so you could see the sort of weight lift off his shoulders as he was running towards the corner flag to celebrate that goal. It was a big moment for him. And as you said, that could be a big moment for him, starting this crucial run in that Arsenal have got now, especially given what's happened in the transfer window and that he's basically the only striker they've got between now and May. So yeah, there was lots of moments. It did feel like a real sense of kind of revenge as well. You know what happened at the end of the 2-2 at the start of the season is hung around at Arsenal. You know, Haaland's humble jibe, throwing the ball at the back of Gabriel's head and running off celebrating, all that. What he said to Lewis Skelly, and when Skelly went up to him, you know, that was all. You could tell it was fresh. You know, the players remembered it. The fans definitely remembered it. And it just added to the occasion, I think. And I know there's been some criticism of the way Arsenal sort of handled it afterwards, and criticism for Lewis Skelly, criticism of Gabriel, especially from Gary Neville, which just reeks of hypocrisy. I was looking back and I looked at the quote of Gary Neville after the 2-2 earlier in the season about what Haaland did to Gabriel, and he said, he admitted it could have been a red card, but he just said that I mean, I'm paraphrasing, but it was me and Carol were laughing about it because it was funny. And then for Gabriel daring to sort of shout and celebrate in Haaland's face, it's apparently that's, you know, left him feeling uneasy and thought it was disrespectful. It's just hypocrisy. It's all part of fun. You want these rivalries in football, in my mind. It just adds to the occasion. You go back to Neville's time at United, you know, all those rivalries throughout those two teams, those great Arsenal and Man United teams, it just added to it, added to the spice, added to the occasion. We look back on that now lovingly. I just think football's got a bit too nicey. And, you know, what that game on Sunday was about was, you know, it's just proper football. And, you know, Man City will be absolutely within their rights to remember all of this, and for the next game at the Etihad to do exactly the same to Arsenal. And if they come out on top, then they should enjoy it and they should rub Arsenal's noses in it, just as the way Arsenal did today. It's just what football's about. Honestly, it's just, we seem so determined to suck the fun out of football and telling people how they should celebrate it and how they should enjoy games. And honestly, it does my head in at times.
Yeah, I mean, you preempted my question now. I was going to say, you know, there's been talk about Arsenal should rise above those little things and just celebrate the win. But yeah, I'm personally on the same wavelength as you. You know, we love to see that needle and those rivalries going, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely. It's just so sterile. If not, you know, you ask any Arsenal fan in that stadium on Sunday if they're bothered slightly about what they saw, you know, what their players did. No, they absolutely loved it. They love Lewis Skelly more for that now, and absolutely they should. It's just football is football. It's about passion. It's about winding the other opposition up, whether that be fans, whether it be players, whether it be managers, whatever it is all about. And you know, as I said, you know, Arsenal have done this now, and they're gonna they've made a bed, they're gonna have to lie in it. And if City get one over them next season, which quite possibly they will, then Arsenal have to just sort of accept the fallback that's going to come their way. And that's football, and that's what it should be about. It's what it should always be about. And yeah, as I said, it's just got a bit too sterile for me. It feels like people are just so ready to jump on and criticize fans, players for anything, for daring to enjoy themselves. And I just think it's a load of rubbish.